In this video, we're going to practice writing a y-equals equation for a linear graph. So we have to find two things in order to write our y-equals equation. We have to figure out the slope or rate of change, and we have to figure out the starting point or the y-intercept. We could write our equation in two different formats. We can either use y equals a plus bx, or we can use y equals mx plus b. So we'll practice writing them in both formats. So first we're going to work on finding our slope or our rate of change. So first I'm going to figure out, going from left to right, what's the first point, what's the first dot I'm going to hit? And that will be this one right here. So I'm going to start there, and first direction I want to figure out is, do I need to go up or down to get to my second point on my line? In this case, I need to go up. So I'm going to draw a line straight up until I'm even with my next point. Then I'm going to count how many spaces I needed to go up to get there. So if I start back at my original point, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to write plus 6 because I went up 6. Next, I work on left or right. In this case, I'm going to go right to reach my next point. So I'm going to draw a line from where I ended straight over to the other point. And then I'll count how many spaces over did I go to get to that point. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went 4 to the right. So if we remember, slope is rise over run, or the change in y over the change in x. So our change in y, our up or down, will go on the top of our fraction, and the change in x, or our left or right, will go on the bottom of our fraction. Now that's our slope or rate of change. We can simplify it. 6 and 4 can both be divided by 2 to make a simpler fraction. So if I were to simplify it, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So our slope or rate of change in simplest form is 3 over 2. Next, I'm going to work to find our starting point, or our y-intercept. So to find our y-intercept, first we have to find our y-axis. That's this one, the one that goes up and down. So now that I found my y-axis, I need to figure out where my line hits that y-axis. Where do those two things touch? Where do they intersect? So if I look at this, I can see that they're going to intersect right here. So to figure out my starting point or my y-intercept, I'm going to always have 0 as my first number, because when x is 0, what is y? That's our y-intercept. So x is always going to be 0. So I've got 0, and then I go back to my origin, which is where the x and y axis cross, and I figure out how many spaces did I have to go up to get to my new point. In this case, I went up 1 space. So the point, the ordered pair for my y-intercept is 0, 1. So I'm going to write 0, 1. So first we're going to deal with our y equals a plus bx format. So I've got y equals a means our starting point. What's our y-intercept? So when we look at our ordered pair 0, 1, our y-intercept, our starting point, is the number in the y space. So in that case, it is 1. So I'm going to put 1. B, when it comes to y equals a plus bx, means our slope. You're always going to be putting the slope next to the x. So in this case, our slope is 3 over 2. Now I can't just write it like that. I need something in between the 1 and the 3 over 2. Since it's a positive slope, I'm going to put plus. And then attached to my slope, I'm always going to put x. So we're going to use the same information. We're going to write it in the y equals mx plus b format next. So I've got y equals, now this is flip-flopped from your y equals a plus bx. Our slope comes first, but it's the same information. It's 3 over 2, and the x is always attached to our slope. And then I've got to put b, which is our starting point or our y-intercept. which is 1. Same thing, I can't just put that there without anything in between it. I either need a plus or a minus. So in this case, it's going to be a plus because it is a positive 1.